Well, it's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, to my left, we got the pride, joy, and glory of all of North Las Vegas. My main man, 50 grand, Jonathan Cortijo.
That's it.
Shout out to you, man. Now, listen, me and Johnny have a lot of great boxing conversations, right? Not just about boxing the sport, but boxing the business. And in this particular video, we want to talk about a phrase. You know, I've even said it in my videos recently, even this month. It's something that's been said a lot by promoters and media people, and we think it's a lie. I think it's a lie. Through talking to Johnny, I've come to the conclusion that I believe it's not true. And that quote is that boxing is a poor man's sport. So first, Johnny, I want to ask you, why is it a lie, and why do you think that statement has become so popular in boxing?
Let me give you a little breakdown of our conversation, because how it started, pretty much, we were having this conversation. BT said, yeah, boxing, you know, it's a poor man's sport. People would do it from anywhere. And absolutely, in some sort of sense, people that are poor and need help in boxing, they get involved in boxing. But I feel personally that boxing is not a poor man's sport, because it's something that they paint a picture, they do it in the movies, and as we've come to realize that when you watch movies, you know, most of the time, movies, they're not
real.
They're not like,
that shit fake.
They're not like in reality.
Yeah.
You know, so boxing to me is not a poor man's sport. Also because the equipment is expensive.
Oh my God,
those gloves are like $200.
Y'all ever bought some winning boxing gloves?
Yeah.
Those winning?
Yeah. And I believe that boxing is not a poor man's sport, because you have the promoters, the managers, everyone involved, pretty much, networks. And if you want to see a fight, the money is there to see the fight. The money is there, the fans are there. How can it be a poor man's sport when there's millions and millions and millions of dollars and millions of people? It gets placed in fighters' minds and fighters' way of thinking, like, oh man, I gotta make it out. So they tend to chase something, and they tend to put them in those circumstances because they have that poor man mentality. And I believe boxing is not like that. It's poor until you get to a certain level, and then it becomes a rich man's sport, because there's
one of the richest sports.
One of the richest sports, one of the most lucrative. The most, Floyd was on Forbes. Conor McGregor, he's a combat
sports athlete. He
boxed, and that was his biggest payday. Canelo, Joshua, tons of
Pacquiao.
And then you don't even want to get into the endorsement deals. There's too much money in boxing for people to think, oh yeah, this is a
poor man's sport.
This is a poor man's sport. It's absolutely not.
I gotta take short money.
It's absolutely not a poor man's sport. It's one of the most lucrative sports in the world, where you start from being a poor to reaching wherever your abilities can take you.
Because if it's a poor man's sport, then that means that you start poor, you leave poor, which is the case for most fighters, but that's only because of their bad decisions and not having the right people around them. Everyone boxes with that dream of not just being world champion, but also to set themselves up financially, to buy their families a house, to make sure their wives and kids are taken care of. Nobody boxes just because, I hate to say it, but nobody boxes only because they love it. They love the sport, but there's other reasons why they box. So you don't want to leave the sport broke. So Johnny, do you feel like that line, like boxing's a poor man's sport, do you feel like that whole line of thinking, does that work against fighters? And if it does, how so?
It does work against fighters, in my opinion, because they tend to put themselves in situations. Sometimes you have to be calm-minded when you make certain types of decisions, and when you have to make certain decisions, you should be calm. But if you're struggling, you want to be like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Sometimes the two options that you have, you may have two options. You may take an option that looks nicer in the short term, but you forget about the long term
and how it affects you.
And how it affects you. So it is a poor man's sport from the beginning, but for a poor man's sport, you know, we had to pay $90 to watch Sean Porter.
Oh my God.
And Terrence Crawford, you know, so it hurts the fans' pockets as well. They put money in
even
into
like
it too.
this Canelo fight with Caleb Plant, like the cheapest ticket was $1,000 plus tax.
Yeah.
You know, so
Like,
that almost sounds like a poor sport. I mean,
yeah.
I go when I go to South Florida, if I want to watch the Marlins play, that shit $15, $20. You know, if they're not that good, you know.
Yeah, and then $1,000 for a ticket that could get you into Super Bowl. So it's the same. It's the same. It's the same with boxing. Boxing is one of the most lucrative sports. It's a ladder. So you start, obviously, when you start in a game, you start at level 1, and then you have to climb up. But once you get to level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, it starts to become more lucrative.
Yeah.
So you always want to have that hunger, because you never want that hunger to leave you. But you never want to go in there thinking like, I have to do this, I have to do that. Because when you have multi things to do, you tend to lose focus, and you tend to not get anything done. But when you focus on this one thing, you'll be able to get it done. So, you know, if you want to make money in boxing, you should fight the best. But you should also look out for your best interest, your best option, and then you always should survey the landscape to know where you're at.
Yeah.
You
know your place in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you mentioned fighters fighting the best. Because you know, as fans, we want to see the best fights. That's what we want to see. We want to see boxing at the highest level. But do you feel like fighters, you know, with them believe that it's a poor man's sport and there's that urgency to try to, you know, get these big fights? Do you feel like maybe fighting the best all the time could be to their detriment?
All the time, yes, because you end up taking a lot of damage in those fights. Usually, you know, they're close fights, they're competitive fights, and me personally, I told Brendan this, that I feel when you want to have a fight, right? Obviously, right now, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I want to see Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fight right now, which is what they should do right now. But let's say we were back 3-4 years ago, right? I feel like the best way to build it up was put them both on local television, let them fight solid tune-ups, let them get money, build up to that point where they end up fighting each other and they become more known to the casual fan, and then you build more boxing fans for more money. And I believe that what was the question again?
I said that, do you think that fighting the best all the time could be to the detriment of a fighter?
Yeah, so I feel like it is to detriment of a fighter, because let's say you fight the best after another, you take certain damage, and then eventually it's going to get to a point where you don't have any more big fights because you fought everyone. Yeah. Like Sean Porter.
Or Alex Saucedo, who retired early.
Yeah. Sean Porter, he fought everyone, but he also fought his Sebastian Formelas, his Eric Bonays, all those guys, and they were all in between. He didn't fight those guys like after another. There was always a little lapse right before those big fights. So you need those little laps, and you need big fights as well, because that's where you want to get to. That's the goal.
Okay, so we'll end the video like this, Johnny. I'll ask you. A lot of people watch my channel in boxing. We may have fighters, upcoming fighters that watch the video. When people say to a fighter that boxing's a poor man's sport, how should an upcoming fighter deal with that statement being thrusted their way?
I would say no, because like, you know, they have this mentality where they say if you're from a bad area
or the ghetto,
you tend to think like that. Where in life you kind of have to develop, you know.
Yeah, you do.
You have certain circumstances where you want to move forward and you want to do certain things. So things change. It's a poor man's sport at the beginning. So, but as I said, in a poor man's sport, you start from the bottom. That's why a lot of amateurs, they don't really make much money. And then when they get to like the world boxing champions and stuff, they make good money because they're at a different level. So the more you improve, the better you get, the more you earn. It's like having good grades. You know, when I had an A, my parents would take me out to dinner.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-whoop.
That status is, you know, they treat you differently.
Go. So it's the same thing with boxing. It's a poor man's sport. I would say yes, it's a poor man's sport for the place I'm at right now in boxing. If you're young and upcoming, but you don't want to stay there.
It's not a poor man's sport for Canelo.
It's not a poor man's sport
Joshua.
for Canelo. It's not a poor man's sport For Joshua, it's not a permanent sport. For Gervonta Davis, for Teofimo Lopez, for all these guys. So you don't want to say it's a poor man's sport forever. It's a poor man's sport for where I'm at right now, but later on, it's not a poor man's sport no more.
Yeah.
I don't want to go and think it's a poor man's sport forever, because then you won't get no money.
Yeah. It'll stay poor, and it's like you know, if you approach boxing and dealing with the business of your career like it's a poor man's sport, then that makes that quote that I told you about. I'm not gonna say his name, but there's somebody in boxing that I know who once told me that, you know, boxing is rich people paying poor people to beat each other up.
Yeah.
And and the reason why that he thought that statement, or why that statement rings true, is because a lot of fighters have that poor mentality, a scarcity mentality.
Mm-hmm.
They never break it when they get to the pros. So when the promoters dangle the carrots in front of them that give them that short-term instant gratification, which they think will lead to long-term success, they make the wrong decision. They get boxed into a corner, and before you know it, their career is over. So,
because you can think, it's a poor man's sport, and then you can be 15-0, 16-0, and you can be at a point in your career where, let's say you lose, right, like 16-17 fight, then you're like, oh no, I lost, I got to get back. And then the promoters say, well, we can offer you this much money, it's a little bit more, it's good, it'll get you back there. And then as soon as you know it, boom, you get in a position where you could become an opponent. And then let's say you lose that fight, then you're 16-2, boom, then you're always going to be using an opponent. So you don't want to put yourself in positions where you shouldn't be. Not to be an opponent, but positions that you know
they're unfavorable.
Yeah, unfavorable, and you know your skill level is A level, B level. You know, you don't want people to see you like, he's a C-class fighter, knowing that he's better than that. You know.
Yeah, like I want in the video soon, but I to mention a name, like for example, like look at a guy like that me and you are friends with, Lionel Thompson, probably one of the best super middleweights out there. I would say probably arguably top five super middleweight. Can't get fights, and people look at his record. They don't really do their homework. They see that he's 21-5, but 4 of those losses came at 175, or no, all of them came at 175. And the one fight he had 68, he beat Ukitagi, but he can't get the fights because he put himself, unfortunately, in some unfavorable positions, and now boxing is using his past decisions against him. So this isn't like I know me and Johnny are Christians, we're saved. You know, when you make a mistake, you can repent for them, but unfortunately, this boxing business is very unforgiving. It's the opposite. And when you make mistakes business-wise, you can pay for them dearly. So fighters, just beware of these things.
And then Lonnie has like 5 losses, I believe, and I think that Lonnie, at least 3 of them should be taken away. At least Paul, I remember Paul Parker, I thought he won that fight for sure. I don't remember much about the Edwin Rodriguez fight. I know I was there, and I was paying attention, but I don't really remember much about that fight. But at least 1 or 2 of those losses that he has shouldn't be on his record. And the Kovalev fight, he fought him when Kovalev was the crusher. When he was
prime Kovalev, killer Kovalev.
I believe, like Uzcategui was supposed to fight David Benavidez, and Uzcategui, he's good and he's a former world champion, but Lonnie beat him. So I believe Lonnie deserves a
crack at Benavidez. But boxing business is unforgiving, and he hasn't boxed in 2 years. But listen, on that note, guys, we just wanted to say boxing is not a poor man's sport. Don't be lied to by these promoters or managers or networks or anybody. Don't be brainwashed by watching Rocky and Creed and Cinderella Man, all right? Boxing at the top, at the elite world class level, when you get there, you young fighters, it's a rich man's sport. And, demand respect, class, and dignity, and you'll be treated with such. So,
and also earn it.
And earn it in the ring, obviously. Earn it in the ring. Don't be a diva. You still gotta earn it in the ring.
Yeah.
But when it comes time to negotiate, don't be swindled or anything like that. So with that being said, I'm wrapping up on that note. And we'll end it with the classic intro. You can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just giving Dana. So until next time, take care, guys.